Block Talks over the next few weeks. This past weekend, we were looking at the commands of Jesus, and we looked at his command to be ready. And I mentioned in that message this past Sunday how obeying that command requires, in part, decreasing our ignorance in relationship to our eternal destiny and what that looks like. So let's lean into that task for a few days, shall we? Answer these questions if you would. What does your eternal destiny really look like? What are your conceptions of life in the eternal sense? And what basis do you have to draw those conclusions from? All these questions and more are essential in considering not only what life will look like for us in the future, but even more importantly, what life can be now for us in the present. So let's take a look at the Word and what it says about our eternal destiny. The author of the book of Hebrews writes these words in chapter 3. And so, dear brothers and sisters who belong to God and are partners with those called to heaven, think carefully about this Jesus whom we declare to be God's messenger and high priest. Now notice the instruction here. He says, think carefully about this Jesus. Now why was this author instructing his readers to think carefully? Well, the first clue to the answer of that question is in the few words that he uses at the beginning of this sentence. The words, and so, or if you have another translation, it may be therefore. It's a word that signals a conclusion the author is making on the basis of some previous material, an argument, or some evidence he presented. Now, in the previous chapter then, in chapter 2, after quoting from Psalm 8, the author writes in relationship to mankind these words. In putting everything under him, God left nothing that is not subject to him. Yet at present we do not see everything subject to him. Now what he's arguing is that God initially created all things and put all the earthly realm under the dominion of mankind. However, we know that because of our fallenness, because of our sin, the dominion we were created to exercise has been frustrated by the curse. And this is why we are instructed to think deeply about Jesus. Continuing in chapter 2, the writer writes these words, But we see Jesus, who was made a little lower than the angels, now crowned with glory and honor, because he suffered death so that by the grace of God he might taste death for everyone. In other words, Jesus paid the price on behalf of mankind to recover the dominion they willingly relinquished. Consequently, those who are in Christ are his partners together of the heavenly calling, and those who share in the promise of a restored destiny that is now pictured in and by Jesus. Now, we're just scratching the surface of this topic, to be sure. But just imagine with me for a moment an earth in which there is absolutely no shame for being totally and completely transparent. No fear between mankind and the animal kingdom. No pain and suffering in productive labor and in profitable or productive enterprise. That, my friends, is the destiny that we were made for. And it can be not only understood, but anticipated by thinking more carefully about Jesus. And we're going to do much more of that in our future talks. But until then, will you join me in something? Let's read and reread Hebrews chapter 3 together over the next few days. Then we'll come back together and talk some more about what our eternal destiny looks like. God bless you all. I love you.